At independence, Nigeria's forest cover was 35%, but currently stands at 3%, indicating that the forest has been destroyed. The federal government needs to fulfill its promise to return the country's depleted forest cover to 25%. And that's according to Nigerian diplomat and former Minister of Petroleum, Philip Asiodu. This and more will be our focus in this week's edition of Green Angle. Welcome. I am Esther Mokwariola. And before we begin, let's bring you updates from the world of environment. Nigeria is home to diverse species of plants and animals, but are currently being threatened by human population expansion, hunting, poaching, and habitat loss.
In Nigeria, with so many species have gone into extinction. We used to have giraffes here, we used to have other creatures here, like cheetahs and so on. They're not here, they've gone.
Despite ongoing concerns, Wildlife Conservation Day serves as a platform to highlight the benefits of conservation, address the urgency of combating wildlife crime, and mitigate human-induced reduction of species.
Presently, the W4, the wildlife law in Lagos State, is being reviewed. It's being reviewed so that it can work according to the present situation of things and ensure that those who are building estates are able to create a green space to ensure that the wildlife around that area are preserved and conserved and not endangered.
We need to let people know that the idea of just going into the bush and clearing and just destroying this wildlife for things for our stomach, for things like ivory, and it is no longer sustainable.
So the awareness, it needs to really get out there and let people realize that there must be a change, a renewal of our minds.
In the meantime, several initiatives are being implemented to promote wildlife conservation among young adults in some public schools.
When you rear a snail, you give them leaf every day to eat, and you always monitor them, and you will not allow worm and other ants to harm them.
I learned how to plant and how to fertilize my plants. When I plant, I water it every day. I weed the dirty there so that no dirty will germinate with my plant.
This year's World Wildlife Day focuses on digital innovation and emphasizes how digital conservation technologies and services can drive wildlife conservation and foster human-wildlife coexistence. Few weeks into the rainy season, and the Lagos Ministry of Environment isn't leaving to chance its objective to achieve a flood-free metropolis. Commissioner for the Environment and his team are on the streets again to monitor areas clogging drainage paths. First stop is Apapa, where concerns arise over an encroachment on drainage channels by landowners.
The whole of Apapa collectors are blocked. The right-of-way had been taken over by individuals who moved their fences to take extra land and not allow us take care of the collectors. And we have no time to waste. Rain have started. So we're going to Apapa and start full enforcement of our right-of-way by Monday morning.
The team also inspected Rock Drive in Lekki Phase 1 in response to complaints about the conversion of a residential area into a diesel depot.
We had to put a stop to it, and I've told LASEPA and Lajes to arrest whoever is on ground, move all the trucks, the diesel trucks and their tanks away to safe keeping with the government.
In the meantime, the officials expressed determination to address the flooding issue across the state by implementing year-round drainage cleaning measures to control flooding. Recently, squatters around Jakande Estate received relocation notices from the Lagos State government.
The
go pay this one this Friday. Whoever we meet, we don't give our notice, we don't reach.
Following the notice period, the enforcement team has demolished all illegal structures in the vicinity. Most structures and shanties now lie in ruins, with affected individuals seen salvaging what they can. Some claim they were unaware of the impending demolition, while others are demanding compensation.
People inside the estate did not tell them anything, they did not notify them. Today, it was one policeman just came and talked to me that I should tell my people that they should move their things. And I said, but they didn't say they will come to this place. We saw where they put their, where they paste their something there. They are from year to year. Government should try and compensate people that they are there. Because it's not easy for people moving from one place to another in this time of hardship. Most of them are nowhere to sleep, nowhere to go to their family. Some people, they don't have their widow, they don't have husband, they don't have, even some men that doesn't have wife. Only him and the children, they are there.
A senior official from the Ministry of Environment emphasizes that this enforcement action is aimed at enhancing the state's aesthetic appeal.
Just as Mr. Governor has directed, anybody trying to change the urban development plans of the state would not be allowed. And this is a strong statement that all our spaces will be governed and will be manned. We want a situation where we can account for everybody within the state.
Meanwhile, residents have been urged to comply with the state's environmental laws and refrain from altering the architectural plan of the state. Shine a spotlight on a visionary leader's impassioned plea for environmental stewardship. Izoma Philip Asiodu, president of the Nigerian Conservation Foundation Board of Trustees, celebrates his 90th birthday by championing the cause of ecological conservation. Nigeria's diverse ecosystems, from lush forests to sprawling wetlands, are under increasing threat due to human activity and climate change. In the face of these challenges, a message resonates with urgency and hope, urging stakeholders to prioritize the protection of the country's natural resources. In a recent media interview held in Lagos, Philip Asiodu made a compelling case for the proper management of ecological funds in Nigeria. He stressed the crucial role of directing these funds to the Ministry of Environment and NGOs dedicated to environmental protection, ensuring effective preservation of Nigeria's natural resources.
Government should abandon these elements of them who do so, believe so, should abandon this immediate self-gratification. They should think of the future, think of children's children, and help to make sure that money voted for ecology is really channeled to ministries of environment and to NGOs who are trying to make sure that the environment.
His call comes at a critical time as Nigeria grapples with the alarming decline in forest cover. Once at 35% during independence, Nigeria's forest cover now stands at a mere 3%, prompting Mr. Asiodu to urge the government to fulfill its promise to restore it to 25%.
The promise made by the Nigerian government in the 1980s to return Nigeria to a situation where 25% of our area is covered by forests It was 35% plus at independence. It is 3% now. Forests have been destroyed, and there is a world campaign because until we get back to that FAO recommendation of 25% forest cover, the environment is in danger. And let us not be part of those who destroyed the environment.
In line with international mandates, Mr. Asiodo revealed an ongoing campaign focused on tree planting and afforestation. He called on the NCF to expand its initiatives, such as the Lekki Conservation Center, to inspire environmental stewardship nationwide.
NCF is doing its best to replicate this Lekki Conservation Center in every state. Where they are done, they should participate, keeping them, unsoiled, undamaged. And that way we will be helping our children and children's children. In school, we have school nature clubs organized by NCF. They should join, participate. In universities, we also have units.
He also emphasized the importance of individual action, urging every Nigerian to plant trees as a simple yet impactful contribution to mitigating climate change.
If there is space in their compound, they consult everybody, father, mother, all the people, and there's space to plant a tree. They should plant it. Not only plant it, but water it, make sure it reaches the point it can survive.
As Nigeria celebrates the nonagenarian's milestone's birthday, his legacy serves as a beacon of hope for a brighter, greener tomorrow. Green Angle returns in just a moment. Stay with us. The coastal areas of Lagos face a myriad of challenges, ranging from coastal erosion to unauthorized dredging activities. Commissioner for Waterfront, Dayo Alebioshu, sheds light on the proactive measures undertaken by the ministry to address these pressing issues plaguing the state's coastline.
Erosion is currently a global phenomenon. It's an imbalance in the coastline activities, which is wind, current, and water. We have seen this happen not just in Nigeria, but in various parts of the country, but in various parts of the nation. But Lagos State is really feeling it. It's been felt in places like Itoke village, Idotun village, Origon, Mayegun, Okwaja, Okunde, and several other places. We've lost some natural lakes, and we've lost a lot of land. If you remember at the Bar Beach, Ahmad Bello Way, it was a good distance from land, from the road to the water. It was almost a kilometer away. It was a good distance. It got to a point where it had taken out even the roads, and of course that's what led, the reclamation was what led to what you have, what we call Eco-Atlantic City at the moment. We have to reclaim first that which has been lost and then protect it. We can't just protect what's left. What's left is almost nothing. So it's important to reclaim the entire coastline, which is it comes at a very hefty cost. At the moment, we've put in about 15 kilometers of groins in place, but I'm aware that from Alpha Beach all the way to Ekpe needs that's about 42 kilometers of coastline that needs to be protected. urgently, and that'll take about 105 groins. However, as of about a year ago, a kilometer of groin cost about 12 billion, roughly around about 12 billion to put in place. So it comes at a very, very hefty cost. And now we're not just talking about groin, we're also talking about land reclamation, coastline reclamation, to serve as a buffer between the road and what was the existing coastline, what was the coastline, differently from what the existing coastline is now. The question we should ask ourselves is, why would government now want to do what will jeopardize lives and properties? Another question to ask ourselves is, what happened before Eco-Atlantic came into being? It wasn't just buildings around there. The whole of Victoria Island was under threat. They put several things in place. But what happened? This is a global phenomenon. It's not something that's just happening in Nigeria. It's all along the coastline. This is what, if you go to different countries, Cameroon, if you go, you would see the same things happening. This is a function of, there's also the hand of God involved, the act of God involved in this. However, don't forget that what was reclaimed by Eco-Atlantic was what was lost into the Atlantic. So the question is, I like to work with, like I always say, it's not enough for you to do your best at something. You must know what to do first before you do your best at it. And we work with people who are experts in that to say, listen, advise me. Like going to court, you would need a lawyer. And in the same way, we're saying, well, we have this application for reclamation. We need you to sign off and give the go-ahead before we're able to do this. And only then, there have been several applications that have been turned down for different technical reasons that those reports spoke to. And before this was done, now Victoria Island is no longer under threat when you refer to the Eco-Atlantic issue. But the coastline was under threat even before Eco-Atlantic came into being. So there are a lot of speculations going on out there, but which I can understand, which I respect, understand, and appreciate. But the most important thing is your ability to sieve through that. Just like when you buy, not that I'm comparing it to beans, but when you buy a bag of beans, you bought a bag of beans, but for you to cook it, you have to, sieve through, pick out the impurities and all. So in the same way, you also have to pick out certain things to say, no, this does not jive, or this speaks to this. And of course, when you have the go-ahead of everybody who's signed off, the question is, can everybody be wrong? That's what I have to work with, evidence that's available to me. Illegal dredging has affected us in so many ways. It needs to be sanitized. Currently, I think there are only a couple of companies dredging the Atlantic Ocean. Every other company continues to dredge, both legally and illegally, the lagoon. And it's the lagoon that also feeds us. That's where we get the fish and our seafood. That's where we get everything from, mostly the lagoon. It's affecting the price of food, fish, and things like that, because every time there's dredging activities, it affects the base of water. On top of that, you have microorganisms that fish feed off, and every time it's disturbed, they move further, which means fishermen would have to follow them, and the further they go, the more expensive fish is, amongst several other things. Places like Ikorodu, they continue. Just in the last 8 years, a road that was meant to last for as long as 30, 40 years had given way as a result of illegal dredging activities.
So why did you stop?
Oh, we've started since resumption. We've had a few meetings. We're going to be jumping on things within the next week or two. As you know, sand to Lagos, to a place like Lagos, is oil to the Niger Delta. And we risk a lot of things. Eventually, if we run out of sand, it's going to affect cost of construction. The local or traditional dredgers are pretty much, from my experience since resumption, have been quite cooperative. Those, the people we have to contend with are those who choose to dredge, and they're only there for as long as they can make money from it. During our monitoring exercises, we've seen them stealing sand, not just from the bottom of the lagoon, but they're stealing sand from islands that have been reclaimed from the bottom. We've seen a lot of unscrupulous people carry out unscrupulous activities there, and they're the ones we choose to clamp down on. The major thing to do to curb this, three things: monitoring, constant enforcement, and of course a lot of media work, a lot of communication, both on and offline. We need to get the people to understand that this isn't a fight between the government and those involved in indiscriminate dredging activities. It's a fight between the people and the people involved in those activities. For as long as there's constant monitoring, it's a battle out there, I must say, but for as long as there's constant monitoring and constant enforcement, and that's why we need to be on the same page.
And that's about it on this week's edition of Green Angle. Until I come your way next time, remember, together we can build a sustainable world. I am Esther Makwariola. Bye for now.